end of November 2023 with the Lovelocks in Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trails. And they will be rough cut. Right, standard introduction first. This is where we live, at 22 Armitage Court in Sunninghill, with warning signs about fierce guard cats. This is where GPS was tested from the late 1980s on so-called Robin's Corner. In fact, this spot down here, that's the garden sculpture that June got Robin for a birthday present, probably a couple of years ago now. Here's the oak tree, dropped quite a lot of its leaves. Down their front drive. Yes, sorry all those who've seen this before. Yeah, there's the website, gpss.co.uk. Was business many decades ago, and now hobbies and charitable causes. Yeah, there's a push bike that I get a chance to check out soon. Here's one of the projects, which is the forts for the guard cats. Got to watch out for them. Just here with armed mice. That little light tells us Toadie sat in there. Through here, you'll see the robot boat in a minute in the house, but this is their front porch. This is the camper that was used to take Snoopy's robot boat down to the coast. Battle damage, June said Robin did it, Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. Before I go into the house, I've got to point out some health and safety things. Warning signs, first of all, that have been here for years about cameras everywhere, but the important sign is about water squirters, and you have to read the small print. There we go. So I've done that, and yes, technology from Australia, I think that was. Right, into the house, and a glance at my untidy study where video has been processed for the last day of November, which was yesterday, and into the kitchen. Yes, June and Samantha are not long back from tennis, the morning session of tennis, and one of the recent projects is putting temporary test mirrors into these skylights. And the whole intention of the mirrors is so that you can see the trees and the wildlife. And another bright idea was perhaps we'd have an even larger mirror up on that wall to get the view of the trees and possibly squirrels. So, oh yes, that's some of the material for the corners, and these things look easier than they are, but at least it's a temporary solution. You see, we've got some ice there. Right, enough on that. Now into the snooker room, I beg your pardon, the games and dining room. Switch the light on. And temporarily we've got some materials here which are related to the test mirrors going into the skylights. So we've got some offcuts here. Very pleased with the guys who supplied that. And so hopefully this will get cleared away soon. Here's the robot boat, Snoopy's robot boat. And sometime I get a chance to do a bit more work on that. And yes, another robot boat. And here is one of the guard cats from opposite, Bentley. He comes over and provides guard duty and training to our cat Toadie in exchange for meals and being able to relax here. This one's Bentley. He's keeping an eye on the back garden at the moment. So, since one of the motives of me, we go through the lounge, going out. Yes, lovely Renoir, that didn't cost very much. Yeah, so this is Robin's naughty corner here. Switch a light on, see a little better. So typically I'll relax and have a meal and look at the closed circuit TV for the previous night. And What's on the TV at the moment is the tracker that shows that June got back from tennis okay. Gives me early warning so I can look busy when she gets back. So this is the lounge. This enables people to case the joint, of course, but the main purpose from my point of view is so they can say, oh yes, we can help Robin and June tidy up their place. These doors are a bit sticky. So various projects outside here that we made very good progress with Paul last year. So for example, the mirrors to reflect light and heat from the chimney, and the barbecue, it's all falling apart, but yeah, the pond's still got a leak, and June and I managed to clear most of the leaves, but there's still a few leaves to clear up. This is, June in fact did that herself, which is a temporary fix on the greenhouse glass, some transparent tape, and it'll practically disappear. So Robin's telescope, haven't had a chance to work on that for many years. Down the garden, things are a little more visible. Now, that was a bright idea. How do we make a better light? And it had been a small solar powered light, which is still working, but wanted something brighter. And the trouble is that's too bright. June's bright idea was, same sort of product from Longacres, but not so many. And we just swap it. So, right, I'm doing a quick tour here. If you think this is untidy with leaves and things, you should have seen it a few days ago, and you will if you look at the photo trails. So this is the bottom bridge. This was going to be a duck pond, but we never got round to finding the ducks that would be happy to live here. I'll come around the back. There's still scope to do things here. Bit of work recently, which is for compost heaps, and of course now we've got something to put the leaves. Right, I won't do the full tour because that's on other photo trails, but essentially we're getting the place prepared so we can put things out in the open, even though we have lots of the same sort of thing, but they need to be tested to make sure you throw away the correct ones. Yes, that's what we were using recently. So this gives you a glance of where we need help is hanging up tools and necessary putting new screws in so they're visible, because a lot of them are hidden away in cupboards and things, and it is very difficult to try and find the one you're looking for. So yes, robot boat stuff, but that could be made into a robot boat. Very little work needed on it. Don't want to throw away anything, especially if it's useful. So, working my way back, and we're about to run into the photo trails, but there are two clips at the end that I shot back in July. One of them is the immortal is the wrong word, sorry, prophetic words of James Lovelock about global warming. And in short, it's going to happen, and you haven't seen anything yet. And the other is what many will find amusing subject of the saga of my driving licence. I still don't have permission to drive from the DVLA. We'll see what happens with time. But anyhow, I say enough on that in that clip. So, into those long photo trails. Sunday the 26th of November 2023, 8.5 minutes of photos, including this 2-minute summary at the start. Yes, the usual views of pussycats such as Bentley from opposite, and yeah, a glimpse of where we hope to improve those test mirrors, and take a trip out to Ascot Hardware to pick up some suitable tacks to put them in place. And yes, June's watching the Davis Cup on the telly and checking that tracker. Yes, anybody who's interested could see where Robin was, and putting out the peanuts, checking the closed circuit TV visits of the foxes, and tidied up a bit, putting a suitable label on the strimmer, looking at the weather, and yeah, having dinner in Robin's naughty corner in the lounge. Yes, the video looked as though that was done, and June's watching the telly, and there's a fox outside there now live, and also the front porch. So June's now watching Strictly Come Dancing, so I take a trip down to the village and into the Comrades Club, enjoy a glass of wine and the atmosphere, and particularly when my friends from opposite arrive, and I learn a lot by watching them play pool as opposed to snooker or billiards. Walk back, and not so many leaves around, still a lot to be cleared up. June's watching Strictly, so that's the end of the summary. So now into the photo trail, just a few more extra photos. So processing of the video for going up onto YouTube, all these things going on in parallel, of course. And yes, there's Bentley from opposite. He's come over for his dinner, and beg your pardon, his lunch, I think that was, relaxing. June's rustling up my lunch, scrambled egg on toast with salmon. There's a glimpse of where I want better mirrors put up, starting with these test mirrors, as I call them. Got good material arriving soon, and we take a trip out to Ascot Hardware to pick up some suitable tacks for putting them up. Don't need very many, it's lightweight plastic. So now a few landmarks on our way back through Sunninghill: the Cords Hall, Chapman's, Ironmongers, the Barbers, the Flame, and the Comrades Club, and out of the heart of the village and back to our place. It's a little tidier than it was, but a lot of work, years of work to be done there. And yeah, check the tracker. Anybody interested could say, oh, where's Robin? Oh, looks like he spent a little bit of time at Ascot Hardware. Goes to the contact page and taps on the appropriate picture. Yes, putting out the peanuts, a bit lighter when I put them out then, a bit easier, including on the pavement, on the road, and back inside Robin's naughty corner where the closed circuit TV is. Yes, probably checking the video from the night before, a little earlier in the day than I sometimes do it, varies. And yeah, so that's working from midnight forward, and the usual visit from a fox or two. I think there's 3 in total at the moment, including on the back bridge. Did I say the back bridge? The top bridge just outside our patio door of the lounge. And get a slightly better pictures now from one of the other cameras, through to when the camera switches to colour, 7:19. Oh yes, now working back from midnight, so that shows Robin returning from the Comrades Club. We're working backwards now, and that's me going off to the Comrades Club. Foxes, of course, coming to the bridge, and no badger that night. Yes, you're being watched. And yeah, that picture is, and through when the camera switches, so 16:32 it switched to black and white mode. And 2 things I noticed there. One is some trimming up, and the strimmer had been cluttering that doorstep for ages, months, and it could be fixed easily. or it's going to be thrown away. So put a suitable label on it with a poly bag around it so it can stay there for ages if necessary, but then sooner or later somebody will say, oh, I'll have a look at that, and maybe it's easily fixed. So June's now watching the telly, the Davis Cup, and yes, according to that, the rain is going to stop. However, the Met Office say no. So June is now rustling up dinner, and the Davis Cup is on the television in the kitchen, and I've checked the video and loaded it up onto YouTube, and June has called dinner is ready. So I go through, get my share, take it into the lounge and into Robin's naughty corner, where the chair is much more comfortable and there's more room, and I can also watch the closed circuit TV. And I'm still wondering, when is that rain going to stop? Now, I was able to check the YouTube video, that looked as though it's coming along, and yes, all these things are going on in parallel, of course. Toadie comes in rather wet to dry himself out and relax in the lounge with June, watching Planet Earth 3. And then I notice, yes, live, there's a fox just outside the patio door on the top bridge, eating the peanuts. And Toadie has joined me. So, yeah, that camera gets reasonable pictures now there. And there's one also on our front porch. Yes, you're being seen. After the peanuts, of course. So now June's watching Strictly Come Dancing, and yes, I'm just checking that the YouTube video has now got subtitles on it. Those were into Afrikaans, and checking again what the rain radar says, it says there'll be a pause, but I thought, right, I'm going to risk it without putting a raincoat on and take a walk down to the village. And in fact it was quite dry apart from the water dripping off the trees, and into the Comrades Club, forced myself to have a glass of wine and enjoy the atmosphere of what's going on. I think it was bingo at that time. And then, of course, my friends from across the road arrive to play pool, and I learn a lot just by watching them. I don't even have to get up and have a game. And so now walking back, the roads are wet, but it was quite pleasant, back home. And what's June watching? Oh yes, that's the video, checking that's fine. Shut down that PC, don't need that. June's watching Strictly, and that's the end of the photo trail. Monday the 27th of November 2023. 7 minutes of photos, including this 2-minute summary at the front. Yes, the skylights and the temporary mirrors are high on the agenda. And yeah, Samantha working from home in the untidy games room, looking for dry windows in the weather, even if they only last a quarter of an hour or half an hour. Do a better cutting back of the brambles that have been neglected. Injured myself, injuries worse than Toadie. And a place for some of the temporary plastic mirrors as we improve them. Oh yes, a reminder, Chopham Common model flyers, my £5 sub for next year is due, so we'll take a trip out to pay that, and also pick up some materials. There's the tracker. Anybody could see where Robin went, or at least where his tracker went. So June's rustled up dinner. I take that into the lounge, into Robin's naughty corner. June watches Strictly Come Dancing. I check the closed circuit TV for the previous night, starting from midnight, running forward. And actually a couple of the foxes are quite friendly towards each other when it comes to eating the peanuts now. So stretch my legs, have a walk down to the village and into the Comrades Club, enjoy a glass of wine and the atmosphere, then walk back. Quite a pleasant night actually. And yes, the decorations are starting to look good. Haven't put them up seriously, it's not yet December. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the full photo trail. Yes, June did shopping, the big shop, and yes, saw her back, helped her bring in the shopping, put it in the kitchen before she puts it away. Remind me to look at the skylights and where we want to improve those mirrors, but those old ones I threw together quickly. I've got a use for those in the garden, you'll see that. So yes, yeah, just checking the tracker there. Yes, showed June was back. Also said low battery, which is actually good, believe it or not. It's given a warning well before the battery goes flat and stops functioning. Looked at the predictions of the rain, thought yes, I got a window of at least half an hour. Got out there and cleared some brambles, and the only trouble is, yes, injured my hand. That's worse than what Toadie's inflicted recently. Yeah, should have worn gardening gloves, I'll be told. Yeah, so the rain's coming on again, and looks like it'll be on and off most of the day. Yeah, looking at the skylights, I've taken the old temporary mirrors out and starting to put them up on the fence there, so probably look okay by the time it's done properly. So there's some to still be removed, because I've got proper material coming very soon, so do that job properly with plastic mirrors. So right, that's a reminder of old photos from Chop and Common Flyers. £5 sub for a year, which is pretty good, I reckon. On the way we say, what other places can we visit? June's driving, of course, because Robin still doesn't have his driving licence. Through a few landmarks through the village, through Sunninghill, and out onto Chobham Common. Popped into Squires on the off chance we find what we're looking for there. Then back through Sunninghill, and we try Long Acres next. And we did find something there, which was basically border, not sure what you call it, it's edging metal, like bits of small fence, only very low. There's the trackers showing the trip out in detail, including stopping at Squires, delivering the subs, popping in to Long Acres, and back home. Yes, as shown by the tracker, just here. So June's rustled up dinner. I take that into the lounge and into the naughty corner, where I can check the closed circuit TV for the previous night. June comes in and watches Strictly Come Dancing, and yes, I'm running from midnight forward now and visit from one of the foxes. There's about 3 of them now, another generation. Yes, he's always on the lookout. Am I being watched? And also to the back bridge, and that camera gives him better view of the foxes on the, I said back bridge, it's the back garden, and it's the top bridge just outside our lounge patio door, through to when the camera switched to colour at 0721. Right, now we're going back from midnight, so it shows me coming back and leaving for the Comrades Club, and then visits from a fox after the peanuts, and also the top bridge, and yes, as seen by the other camera, which is a little better, and it switched to black and white at about 16:17. So June's still watching Strictly, so I'm probably thinking, perhaps I can shut down the PC in the study, and while she's watching that, I decide, I need to get a bit of exercise and stretch my legs and take a walk down to the village. It was chilly, but it wasn't too bad. And into the Comrades Club, enjoy a glass of wine and the atmosphere, and then time to walk back home. Yeah, quite a pleasant night. And yes, a few leaves are left on the trees, but not many. And June's still watching Strictly, so that's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday the 28th of November 2023, 8.5 minutes of photos including this 2-minute summary. Yes, the pussycats. Samantha working from home in the games room, which may get tidied up in due course. And bit of progress on the windows. The materials arrived and basically reflecting plastic, and made some good progress putting those up. And yeah, and then off to give me a lift to the pub, the Duke of Edinburgh, to meet up with John for a pub lunch. They had a bit of sunbathing first, so we enjoyed our conversations and lunch. John drove me back, yes, and then June and I took a trip out to Wicks and picked up some more materials, which is basically the edging for those mirrors. Toadie decided to help me, and yeah, so made a bit more progress on that. Yeah, of course, checked the trackers, and that showed where I'd been that day, including to wherever it was. That was to Wicks and back home. Time to put the peanuts out on the top bridge just outside the window. June's watching the tennis, of course, and yes, the graphs from the Office of National Statistics come out. And yeah, have dinner in the naughty corner of our lounge, watching the closed circuit TV from the night before. And yes, foxes, of course, both front and back. June's watching tennis, I expect. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photo trail itself. Yes, there's the tracker in June's car, and there's Bentley, and June was playing tennis, of course, and Samantha working from home, sharing the games room with Bentley, and the robot boat. No work done on that recently. It's a matter of when there is time to do anything. That applies to everything. So the old mirrors, temporary mirrors, were put out on the fence to reflect a bit of light there and make the garden look bigger, possibly. And check the emails. Yes, there was one or two of amusing ones there. And the materials arrived. The plastic mirrors from SWB, and very pleased. So just checking how I'm going to put those in place, and it's all a matter of what tools you use. And that was the planned pub lunch with John. We were hoping one or two people might have joined up, but it wasn't possible. And June's back from tennis. And yes, Bentley's sleeping in the corner of the games room, well, the windowsill. Yes, there's the tracker, and then looking at my tracker, and the tools that we thought we might use. Question is where to find them. I had to hunt around until I found a drill the right size. So it's all just reinforcing the message. We need to have things where we can easily find them in the right place. And yes, that support for the lights worked well, and looks like a trip out. Yes, June's provided Robin transport to the pub to meet up with John, because Robin still doesn't have his driving licence. So it was the Duke's Head. That's past a few landmarks. Duke's Head at Woodside on the edge of Ascot. Enjoyed a bit of sunbathing while I waited for John. There we go. We had a lovely pub lunch and conversations, and then John kindly drove me back home in his high-performance electric Jaguar. I won't say anything more there to incriminate the guilty. Right, so I was able to carry on with a bit more work on putting up those better temporary mirrors. Don't know what temporary would be, but yes, and then we thought, if we pop out to Wicks, we can pick up some suitable edging material. That would worked out good. So that's probably the journey out there past the red line. Oh yes, I popped in there and booked pub lunch for the next day, and yeah, came back with, we chose that material, and there's Bentley and Hody watching work. So basically, yes, not easy to take photographs while they're working, but all the time there are surprises, like those wire snippers were just right for cutting the plastic, because I'm checking the tracker now. So trips including to the Duke of Edinburgh and down into Wicks and back home. Yes, just here. So there's the materials laid out there. Time to put the peanuts out on the top bridge just outside the lounge, and down the garden and on the bottom bridge. And that's the lamp which we put up on that branch that had been sawn off. So now out the front, including on the pavement, on the road, and yes, those lights are looking okay. Just put the peanuts back where they're kept at the moment, in the games room, and June's watching tennis in the kitchen at the moment. Oh yes, I hadn't updated the COVID page with the latest graph of total deaths from the Office of National Statistics. Obviously not just COVID, but can be a useful warning of problems. So June has rustled up food, which I take into the lounge and into Robin's naughty corner. I can watch the closed circuit TV and play back the video from the night before, starting from midnight forward. Yes, the fox or foxes appearing for peanuts. June joins me with Toady. Watch the tennis, I expect. And yeah, so we're carrying forward that check. That camera catches them on the top bridge quite well, through to when the camera switched to 0719, switched to colour for daylight. And now running backwards from midnight. Yes, usual thing. Foxes after the peanuts, very alert in case things creep up on them, through to when the camera switched to black and white night mode. Looking at something there, can't remember what it was, but not to worry. Had a bit of a doze, and yeah, so June's watching that. Time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Wednesday the 29th of November 2023, 8.5 minutes of photos, including this 2-minute summary at the start. Yes, one of the jobs in the background is the skylight and those temporary mirrors, and it was pub lunch. So Stuart was chauffeur, took us to the red line at Lightwater. They'd started to put their Christmas decorations up, and Roy was, so yeah, the trackers showed where we were. Yes, that was it. And back for coffee at Richard Fay's, and Richard got out his test rig to prove that Robin was wrong with his bet about the cotton reel. So Robin paid back the £5 Richard had given him, and also the £5 he'd lost on the bet. So after that, June and Robin go back, and yeah, off to Wicks. Decide some different edging material for part of where those so-called test mirrors are going up at the skylights, and picked up those Christmas lights, and that might be a low-cost solution for the light in the garden on the end of the pole. It just about works, but it's not very bright. It was only one little solar-powered lamp. Put out the peanuts. Yeah, looking up the garden. And yes, Robin decided to walk attend the annual general meeting, the AGM of the Ascot Tennis Club. But anyhow, then decided to stretch his legs again and walk down to the village and into the Comrades Club, have a glass of wine, lovely conversation with an old friend that I've seen for some time, and yeah, back home and time for bed. And that's the end of the summary. So now into the full photo trail. Yes, there's Bentley on guard duty. Bentley is from opposite, but he spends a lot of time over with us, and guarding the robot boat, looking out into the back garden. Hello, Bentley. And that's one of the jobs in progress, which is those plastic mirrors lining the inside of where the skylight is, and basically trimming up. Toadie looks as though he's gone off to walk over to Bentley's, and yeah, looking at the closed circuit TV, he's given me warning of the lads arriving. And there's Stuart, kindly being chauffeur, and we're off to Lightwater. I got a call from Terry to say he couldn't get his car started, he had a flat battery, and but luckily he did manage to get it working, so he did join us. So this is the run to the Red Lion at Lightwater. Yes, they started to get their Christmas decorations up, and we're in the summer house. Roy's joined us and Richard set that little puzzle, and I must admit it was a real optical puzzle and an interesting one. Yes, so we're all having something slightly different to eat. Good food, of course. And yes, I give Roy one of my spare autopilots that I hadn't got working, and you never know, you might see what I did wrong or just do the right things to get it working. And so back home to have coffee at Richard and Faye's. In fact, June came over as well, and yes, so that's what the tracker says. So it seems that Robin spent some time at the Red Lion. Anybody could see just going to the contact page and tapping on the picture of it. So yes, the reason I went back was to see if there's any important emails, and there weren't. So this is where Richard got out his test rig, and Robin handed over the £10, which was the £5 that Richard had paid him, because he claimed that he hadn't actually made the test clear. And it's all down to the diameter of where the cotton comes off compared with the edge. Anyhow, June and Robin go back, and we say yes, we need some different material for one of the places where the test mirrors they go. So we went into Wicks at Knapp Hill, and we got the right material, we think. We swung into Homebase, curious of what the cost of the Christmas lights were, and came back going to Longacres to get the Christmas lights. So the materials will be going in there, and yeah, what we're looking at now, oh yes, the trip out on the tracker again, showing where we went. Wicks first of all, then Homebase, and then Longacres, and then back home, just here. And there's the Christmas lights, and I thought, yes, nice bright low powered lights, and it's all a question then of, do I use the transformer and plug it into mains, or do I provide the right input at a lower voltage from solar powered batteries? And decided the simplest thing was to simply run that cable carefully. So that's a job lined up. Time to have dinner in Robin's naughty corner in the lounge. Check the closed circuit TV from midnight running forward, and yes, there's the fox, or foxes, there's 3 of them at least coming at the moment. He's on the top bridge just outside the lounge patio door, and there's the badger. So that's the back of the badger there. So there's the badger having the peanuts as well. So he's good that he's visiting still. And there's a fox coming to the front porch, which is better lit, having his little snack of peanuts, and there is the fox there. But I ended that check early because I thought, yeah, I better put the peanuts out now because the wildlife will be arriving soon. So now down the garden to put the peanuts on the bottom bridge, and looking back, and you'll get a glimpse of that lamp on a post. Now it just about works, but it should be much more effective with something like those Christmas lights sort of all wrapped inside it probably. So there's the materials there, and now here's Robin taking a walk all the way to the Ascot Tennis Club. At least it gave me a bit of exercise, because June said, no, we're not giving you a lift because you're not a member. Well, I seem to recall attending the AGM several times before, and anyhow, that was an interesting visit. So then they did condescend to give me a lift back. And yeah, there's the tracker, says, oh, Robin seems to have spent some time at the Ascot Tennis Club. And of course they would have known, if they looked, there was an AGM then. So Robin says time to stretch his legs and get a bit more exercise, but only to walk down the village and into the Comrades Club. Enjoyed a glass of wine there and the atmosphere, but mostly a very interesting conversation with somebody I hadn't seen for a little while. And yeah, made my way back and into the house, and time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Thursday the 30th of November 2023, nearly 7 minutes of photos, including this 1.5 minute summary at the front. Yes, that's the new lamppost with a brighter light on it, made up from Christmas lights. And yeah, closed circuit TV checks, including the foxes coming for the peanuts, both at the front and at the back. And what else? Oh yes, a squirrel. He came in the middle of the day, and so that's the first time I've seen a squirrel for a long time on closed circuit TV, or even by eye. Yes, chased away by the pussycat. Trip down to the Bansals for coffee and quality time with Romeo. Had a meal with Raj in the Raj Vuj, and back home, and yeah, June watching the TV, and I decided to stretch my legs down to the Comrades Club, have a glass of wine, enjoy the atmosphere. Yeah, nice call from Paul, and then make my way back home. Yes, so that's the only decorations we have up at the end of November, but they'll all be going up soon. Yeah, so that's the end of the summary, and that's the lamppost where we just simply put a load of string of Christmas lights around it. The question was what, the wiring. I got some, it's only low voltage, but I decided to get some black cable from the village, in Chapman's that was. And yeah, there's Bentley come over for breakfast, practically every meal of the day, and then relaxing either inside the house. He's on guard duty, of course, and he does train Toadie quite well. Yeah, so there's the back garden. There's that light. It's on all the time. It's not set to switch. And put the peanuts out a bit earlier in the day than normal, but it's fine because the animals come pretty early in the evening. Yes, sorry about that. That's a bit of garden sculpture. An infrared light. Here's still a lot more leaves to be brought up. There's Bentley. Yeah, putting down the peanuts now, including on the pavement on the road, and back to where I'm keeping them at the moment. Load of materials there for trimming the temporary mirrors in the skylights. And yeah, there's the fox. There's about 3 different foxes coming at the moment, sometimes at similar times. Through the night this is. And there he is on the top bridge, just outside the patio door of the lounge. And what else next? Yes, that's when the cameras switch to colour at 7:26 in the morning. So now I'll be running back from midnight. I think there must have been an interruption there, not sure what it was, but anyhow, took a look at that light that's come on. Oh yes, that's the interruption is that June got a phone call from Bal, and so I'm off now to join her for some free coffee at the Bansals. So I walk down to the village. You can see it's a little lighter than I normally walk down there, and into their place, have coffee and spend some quality time with Romeo. He's better behaved than he was, but he does still like nicking people. So that was enjoyable, and then Raj and I decided, perhaps we'd go down for a meal in the Raj Foods. So that's what we did. Enjoyed our meal, and then I walked back to home, and yes, more Christmas lights will be going up soon. That's just a string of them to mark the spot. Oh yes, and June's the tracker gives me warning that June's on her way back as well. She's only a few minutes behind me. So I carry on doing the closed circuit TE checks, running back from midnight. That's me coming back from the Comrades Club. There's a fox visiting the top bridge just outside the lounge, and there is probably a different fox on the front porch. There's me going off to the Comrades Club, and there's the women coming back from the annual general meeting of the Ascot Tennis Club. And at 16:29 the camera switch. Oh yes, in the middle of the day, in fact it was practically midday, a squirrel came for the peanuts on the front porch, and I hadn't seen a squirrel for a while. Yes, and yes, black and white cat saw the squirrel, came creeping up, but the squirrel saw him and said, no, you can cat doesn't eat the peanuts, but the only animal that doesn't. So, where did the squirrel go? He got away. So that was enjoyable. So that was the closed circuit check. Oh yes, I thought that lamp had packed up due to the other one being too bright, so I improvised some silver foil on it, but I think that was just a coincidence that it had gone flat. So that's it, shutting down the PC. June's watching the telly. Perhaps I should get a bit of exercise and walk down to the village. That's the only reason I do it, of course. And into the Comrades Club. Force myself to have a glass of wine. Enjoy the atmosphere. Got a nice call from Paul. And yeah. And then walk back again. It was cold, but it was a nice starlit night. And yeah, back to our place, and June watching the news, I think, by then. So that wraps it up. That's the end of the photo trail. I said the photo trails would be long ones, so now back into the house, and we're about to run into that clip that I shot in July, and the reason for this is to provide a little bit of continuity, because I started the clip from about here. Now what I put on the screen, because global warming is rearing itself, it's something that's been on my grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert. shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world's governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelocks said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired happy and spending that kid's inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case, and resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world, not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Lovelocks launched his Snoop Loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes. That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including the live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worried for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request, but when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV, and relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money. and there are probably other things as well. But as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded. We've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday. That'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me whittering on, which is one of my main weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha, and here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon, and into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera, not expensive, and through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have.